We still don't have an intro, so this is Calling It Now with Jimmy Snow and Luxander. Are we live? Yeah, okay, we're live. Hey, welcome everybody. This is Calling It Now. I'm Jimmy Snow, and this is...
I'm Luxander. Hello.
Hell yeah. I'm used to everybody having at least a fake last name, and I keep almost always slipping on and just telling people your last name. So
how dare you?
Sorry if that happens. But it won't. I'm trying hard not to. Trying hard. I put in the effort. My God, the first year of working with Promise when Eve was framed, but she and I were like very close privately. And so it would happen all the time. But at least with her name, I was able to so many times just be like, oh, listen, promise me that you will consider. Like, it was just, you just turned it into a sentence. And I wonder if anybody's gone back and watched everything we did early on when Eve was framed and made a little compilation. And this is like, I wonder if, but if you wanted to, that'd be cool. Of all, if you can find every time I almost said it, that I like halfway slipped on it. That'd be pretty good.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, it's not going to be me. Speaking of things that fans can do, we still have it open. There's a link in the description. If you want to submit a proposal with budget and everything, there is a link down in the description. It is QANaline.com/CIN intro. And that has a guide where if you want to be responsible for creating the intro, we might do a temporary intro because I'm tired of not having one. We've had a few submissions before. I will tell you, I might update that stuff to add a few things. On the one hand, I didn't want to say what our budget probably is because for the right idea, we'd probably stretch it a little bit. But I will tell the people who have come in with budgets over, say, $1,000, that we don't have. And you're probably worth that. So it's nothing to do with you. But as far as if I had, like, say, $2,000 to put toward one intro for one show, I would actually put that money more toward, like, maybe a billboard or something else. So that wouldn't be where we would prioritize our stuff. I am enjoying a little bit. I almost want to just do like a little graphic that plays and then always make whoever the co-host is sing us a little intro at the beginning where it's just like, hey, this is Calling It Now, and that's what you do is you call it now, and people the show will start now. I think like
the low effort janky stuff people actually seem to have quite a soft spot for. So
yeah,
I feel like it could work.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we should have also like fan submitted music for like the intros. Unfortunately, I think we'd have to create like a submission form where it's like submit here and click here that you're releasing all rights to this because we are not fucking with that. But if fans wanted to do like an intro, if they could like sit down, even with their phone, just like, welcome now to Calling It Now and thank you. You are probably not super, things aren't going great if this is what you're doing in the middle of a Tuesday with a piano or something. It could be whatever. You can roast us, you can roast the audience. That actually does sound like the most fun. Wow. Did I just figure it out? We got to figure so maybe we just need like a 10-minute video that plays while they're doing that and people can just submit their own things. What did you say about Patreon? Did you figure out a way we could make money doing it? What did you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, instead of it being just open to anybody, you could put it on one of the lower tiers of Patreon, like that you could do a submission, like create maybe even a new one, like a $3 tier separate from the other ones. That's like submit different, maybe even different fan things. Like maybe we'll have like a little fan art thing as part of that too.
I will say, I think I only got one fan Zerba art. I don't think I want to restrict that one to Patreon.
Sure.
Yeah, at least now. Right now, I want to maximize. Yeah, I want to maximize. Maybe down the road, if we were like, all right, hey guys, we got to filter this down. So from now on, fan submission, whatever.
Let's get overwhelmed with submissions before we start limiting and restricting it. That makes sense.
That makes sense to me. Hey, people, here's how our show runs a little different than some of the other shows on the line. Instead of just an open like question, generally we will start with a claim that we are open to taking. If you have if there's a specific thing from a different show or a topic we've brought up before that you have contention with, goodness sakes, the number of people who seem to think they know my takes on AI while straw manning every time they make an attempt at it. and saying like, I can't believe Jimmy is just saying, give them unfettered access to all of our information. And that's fine. Like, wow, I can't believe I said that either. But anyway, go ahead and you can call in on those things. But generally, we're going to start this show with our claim. It is our title claim. It's what you see in the middle of the screen. And we would especially love to hear from anybody who feels they are willing to argue against this claim. MAGA is destroying America. If you disagree, you can call right now 1-336-543-2101. That is 1-336-543-2101. By the way, if you want to incorporate that in your intro song, if a fan wants to submit an intro song, contact at QAnaline.com. You could call it now at 665. That wasn't the right number. I fucked it up. That exact thing I just did would probably have made it to air. Mm-hmm. That probably would have been selected as a submission. That's the number you can call. We're going to get started with our first call here in a moment. But anybody who wishes to argue this claim, I think I have to split this thing up because what you're about to see is that claim gets covered by the caller banner here in a moment. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm realizing that doesn't work very good.
Because you want to make sure to have the subject matter on screen along with the caller. Yeah.
At all times without getting rid of my own face, which, is it the end of the world? Is it?
It's so much real estate on the screen, though. We got what else are we going to put there? Just the entire thing. MAGA is destroying America, and then just me alone up here.
I guess we could get rid of calling it now the line. This part
for now, at least until you figure something out with graphics. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wait, would that work literally right this second? Could I fix this? We have a call on the line. We will get to you here in just a moment. And I'm excited even to talk to you. But for the moment, let me just check. Okay, so I could just come here and be all like, boom. I just think we would have to restrict the size a little bit more, possibly. Paste that there. MAGA is destroying America. That looks like it fits at the moment. Boom. Okay. And now we can go ahead and take our first call. We're going to be talking to McLean in North Carolina. McLean, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. McLean, how are you?
Oh my God. Hi, Jimmy. It's so great to talk to you. I've loved your videos for years, since you were doing the Girl Defined stuff and all of that stuff. I've loved your videos.
Wild. And I'm even more surprised because of the topic matter here. Because from what I'm seeing, McLean, you're a theist calling in to describe how MAGA is not destroying America. I do want to warn you. The buttering me up thing doesn't work. It's all downhill from here. But we'll see what happens. Okay, great. Great. All right. Do you want to go ahead and give us your defense that MAGA is not destroying America?
So this is coming from somebody who, you have to understand the way I was raised first. Let me give you my background.
Very briefly, please.
So my mom is a former federal prosecutor. I grew up watching her prosecute MS-13 gang members and illegal aliens and basically very, very violent criminals. And I've seen firsthand what fentanyl does to communities, what it does to individuals from her stories and from her court cases. And because of all the fentanyl that is flooding the border right now, and that is just infiltrating this country through illegal migrants, through illegal migration, I think, Trump is trying to combat that. And do I think, do I agree with everything he does? No. Do I agree with everything he says? Absolutely not. But do I think MAGA as a whole is destroying this country? No.
So MAGA as a whole is not destroying the country because you believe Donald Trump is not just doing it, but uniquely doing. So any of the other stuff doesn't matter because what he's doing is reducing the fentanyl into this country, right?
Yes.
And where is that coming?
The southern border.
Okay, and so why did he cite fentanyl when putting restrictions at the northern border?
God, I don't even know. Shit. I don't even know, but I know that from the cartels and all of that, I just know from the campaign, that was what he was running on.
And so
are you,
real quick. So you think that he actually does care about that, even though, and I'll answer the question, for political reasons, to try and sell his tariff BS, because he actually does not care about you or anybody who's addicted or fentanyl in general. He cares about that which he can make very scary and demonize. That was why he did it. Now, at the border, specifically, how does fentanyl usually cross the border?
Usually through traffickers. I should know
what does
this,
that mean?
but I don't. But it usually through coyotes or through members of the cartels coming across. This makes me look so stupid. I am so sorry.
Or, I mean, I'm not here to try and make you look stupid, but I am here to point out to a lot of individuals that usually they think they have a hard, clear definition of something that, first of all, nobody likes fentanyl coming in the country. But where does fentanyl addiction begin? How are people initially becoming fentanyl addicted?
That is interesting for you to point out. A lot of times it happens in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
It happens when people become addicted to opioids, painkillers, usually, and I know this because, again, my mom was really firm about these kind of things. So basically what happens, say you break your leg, you go into the hospital, they give you morphine, or they give you any kind of opioid for pain. They prescribe you oxycodone or something, hydrocodone, and they send you home with a set number of pills. Even if you have that set number of pills, if you deviate even a little bit from, the prescription, from the plan you're supposed to have to take these, you can become addicted.
No, you've already, you're mostly on track, but you're already getting multiple things wrong. Most people get addicted following the plan because doctors and pharmaceutical companies were not actually regulated well, and we were lied to a lot for years and years, and now default care has become a thing. I remember, for example, when I broke my leg and I got Percocet, I went to the doctor and I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm getting low on Percocet. I don't know if you have to worry about giving me more so I don't become addicted. And he said something crazy like, oh, you can't become addicted unless you use it every day for 4 months or something like that. So he literally gave me a 60 pill refill, which was completely incorrect. Luckily, I didn't become addicted because even what he didn't know was I didn't need that many more. But at that time in my life, I thought it would be nice to have more for special occasions. And that's what I used it for. And I spaced them out. So it is actually people following the plans and the advice of their doctor. Now, to answer the question you didn't know before, coyotes do not mostly traffic fentanyl. Did you know that? Because you said a moment ago.
I know they traffic people over.
Sure. Coyotes are part of, though most quote unquote illegal immigration isn't by coyotes either. And this is again where it comes to when a person calls and oh, I'm attached to this person, in your case, the prosecutor. And these anecdotes I have accepted largely represent what's happening every day all the time. And this is what most of them look like. This is what turns out to be wrong because coyotes aren't how most people come illegally. Most people actually come legally and overstay a visa. That is the overwhelming majority of quote unquote illegal immigrants in the country.
Yes, that is true.
Mostly.
That's actually true.
Cars and trucks that enter the country legally, disguised as legitimate cargo shipments, are generally what are smuggling the drugs in. And it is a type of supply line that even Donald Trump is not going to fuck with because it would make the economy go, already he's doing too many things with tariffs. It would be too dangerous to the economy to slow down the production line that much to basically take every single truck apart and check whether or not there are compartments in the wheels. There are compartments, and the cartels which are making these already have built into their business model that some percentage of them are going to get caught, but they are going to get a much larger amount over. Also, commercial freight. So not just smaller things and hidden compartments in cars and trucks and apparently family. Commercial freight very large volumes, often pressed into counterfeit pills. So you might even be seeing that here is a pharmaceutical shipment of something. You don't know that it's not. All of that passes all of the checks. And then there is also by mail and air delivery that is done. So the whole cracking down at the border, if Donald Trump cared about fentanyl, we would have seen policies on overprescribing, the number one cause of the thing, and we haven't. We would see policies on enhanced rehabilitation services and access to rehabilitation services. And if anybody actually cared about a fentanyl problem, or what's going to come down to 70% of the biggest problems in America for an average individual American, he would support Medicare for all or some actual, which is why a lot of Democrats don't care about the fentanyl program either. Giving health care to everybody that is good and comprehensive would also lower it. So none of what you have described so far has described a successful MAGA thing. And in fact, the solutions that you would look for are anti-MAGA because they would be leftist solutions. Now, Lux, I know you wanted to go somewhere with that. I just want to get my whole, that whole process of that is not how any of this works. I give you now to Luxander.
No, I'll let McLean respond because you were leading her down a very specific line of thinking there.
Yeah, I like the way you phrase that, and I guess I don't consider myself hardcore MAGA because, again, I don't agree with everything he does. I don't agree with his diplomacy. I don't agree with the way he's treating our allies. I don't agree with any of that. But I voted for him. The reason why I voted for Trump was the economy and immigration. But am I hardcore MAGA? No, I consider myself more right of center, just right of center, but more leaning towards Trump than not. If that makes sense.
If you voted for him on immigration and the economy, okay, it's been 6 months now since he's been in office. And he is cracking down on immigration, but not in a way that is actually solving what you perceive to be a fentanyl problem, which, to be clear, I do have firsthand experience. A member of my family died from a fentanyl overdose. Secondhand experience would be hearing it from my mom about her job at work. So it's no worries, no need to be overly sympathetic. It's just I am very aware that it is a real problem. I also know somebody who was not prescribed any form of pain management after a major surgery because of fears over opioids. So yeah, it's that issue is obviously multifaceted and everything. But if your concerns are the economy and immigration, and you're seeing now that the manner in which that is being managed is inflation is continuing, prices are going up at the grocery store. I don't know about you, but I manage the grocery budget in my home, and groceries are expensive. Ground beef prices are up. It's ridiculous, right? And we know that there's a pretty direct relationship between all of these announcements that he makes about tariffs and rising costs. Anybody who bought a Nintendo Switch 2
absolutely
is familiar with that. And the immigration, it's not stopping the flow of fentanyl, and it's cracking down on nonviolent individuals and citizens who happen to be brown are being caught up. So how do you feel he's done on those issues that you care so much about? Are you happy with how he's handled the economy and immigration?
Honestly, no.
Then how can you say that you're on the side of MAGA and that it's not destroying America? That's not a bad thing.
I don't think it's destroying America. I think he could do things differently. Like I said, do I think everything he's done is right? Do I think everything he's done is good? No. I voted for him based on how well he did his last term.
Well, before you get to Luxander's next question, because I want to, how well he did his last term, we could have a different argument about. He completely botched his last term, and actually the inflation that happened under Biden, go actually consult economists and not Trump himself, and you will discover that inflation is largely because of the first term tax cuts. This is why Republicans love tax cuts. They get a temporary boost because the stock market explodes and it makes them look like the economy is doing great under them, knowing that by the time they get out of office, all of the negatives that come with it will happen. Donald Trump gave billionaires a tax cut in his first term and botched completely botched the pandemic response to the point that when Biden took over, they were surprised we didn't even have a vaccine distribution plan. But you said the economy and immigration. By what do you measure if the economy is doing well?
Like you said, if groceries are cheaper, if my husband, I will say that under Biden, my husband had to work 3 jobs to make ends meet.
And so what Trump policy made it so now that he only has to work 1? Because right now, job numbers are down. He got so mad to find out that job numbers are down, he fired the guy. The economy, by every way we measure the economy, was growing when the election happened. As far as inflation got slowed directly by the Build Back Better plan as well as other Democratic policies. And in fact, when you looked at inflation across the world, Biden's inflation was doing better than every other developed country. So we were actually uniquely, while inflation was still hurting us, we were doing better than everybody else. And I guess then the presumption is, but what Trump would have done actually even better? Call me doubtful, because it wouldn't have mattered to Trump and doesn't benefit him directly. Instead, you now have a man who you say isn't destroying America, but 40% of his net worth is now made since becoming president because of this meme coin that foreign governments are pumping money into. A direct and obvious violation of what's called the Emoluments Clause. And I know that a bunch of people are going to make a comment again. I can't, without going very slow, say emoluments. A bunch of people last time were mad that they said I was saying emoluments, which I wasn't. I do add an N sound after the L. The L's in there, but my mouth doesn't do it. Anyway, the emoluments. See, here's me trying. The Emoluments Clause it's a direct violation of that, but it then also you're describing that you did it on these specific bases, and then specifically on immigration, because you made the mistake of thinking that immigration was why fentanyl rates were so high because of your mother's federal position as a federal prosecutor. Yes. And you were wrong about that, because that isn't a result of immigration. Yeah. That's actually a result of trade. And even if you want to go with violent crime, yes, of course, amongst any group of people, violent criminals are going to show up. It turns out that people who are here illegally commit crimes far less often than the people who are here legally. And our economy
I've read those statistics.
And our economy also runs on that labor as well. So getting rid of them would not make crime better in the country, because you'd actually be getting rid of a group who does less crime than the other groups, but it would hurt our economy further. So your 2 things that you voted for him on
absolutely
weren't actually correct.
Absolutely.
But then the question is about whether or not he's destroying America. How confident are you that your vote, if you decide to vote against MAGA in the future, will count?
You know what? I think every vote counts, and I think it would.
It literally doesn't. Already right now, every vote doesn't count. If I'm in Wyoming, did my vote for Kamala Harris count if I'd cast that in 2024, would that have actually counted? Or would I have known going into it that there is 0 chance it would be counted?
That's actually true.
Yeah, no kidding, because we have an electoral college, but far from the electoral college, now we have the gerrymandering thing happening, which, yes, both sides have done, but is disproportionately much more in favor of the Republicans. And you have Greg Abbott going on the news last night, or 2 nights ago, daring to act full of indignation at how California is doing it to pick up seats. The way they're doing it is wrong. The way we're doing it's good. And that was at the request of the president. The president is extremely corruptly telling states to change things so he won't lose his power in the midterms, which is anti-democratic. We live in a system where...
I had no idea.
Why do you not know these things and are voting and are sticking up for MAGA? That's the question then.
Damn, the more I've, the more that I've read on these leftist outlets, y'all actually are sounding pretty fucking accurate.
Well, you need to be actually researching the stuff. I don't know what to tell you. You need to actually be going and searching. I'm guessing you're not mostly hearing. There aren't that many leftist outlets to read. So I'm guessing you mean Democrats. But Yes,
Yeah,
this
that's
is.
not. Yeah, I didn't mean like leftist.
Did you support Project 2025?
No, absolutely not.
What
Did you
percent of
know about
Project?
it?
Yes, of course I knew about it.
Did you believe
So you
Trump would
knew-
implement it? Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
I
you're
did
fine.
not. No, I didn't believe he would implement it. I thought it was more like a conspiracy type thing. I didn't think it was an actual. No,
Okay,
Wait.
so you did not know that members
did
of the
not
Heritage
think he would
Foundation
implement it.
who worked on Project 2025 are also his consultants and advisors.
In his cabinet,
And vice
yes.
president. And the vice president wrote the foreword to the book on Project 2025.
This is true. I still didn't think he would implement it. I thought
And
it
do you
was
think
a
he has?
conspiracy. I thought it was overblown, and I thought, like, at the time I thought it was overblown, and I thought, people were blowing it out of proportion and that it wouldn't be implemented because he himself, I'm pretty sure, denounced it. And so that's where
No,
I was
he
coming
didn't.
from.
He didn't denounce it. He said, I've never heard of it. I don't know what it is. Those guys who chose my Supreme Court picks before, I don't know what they're cooking up. I don't even know what Project 2025 is. He never denounced it. So do you believe he has now started implementing it? What percentage of it would you guess right now is either completed or in progress, actively in progress?
Jesus. From what I've read, a good quarter of it at least.
So you don't think Project 2025 will destroy the country, is destroying America?
I don't think it as a whole is being implemented, but I think he's taking a lot of stuff from the playbook and implementing things.
That's not the question. Do you believe Project 2025 would be a destructive force to the American idea of democracy, the people choose, you're saying you're a center of right. I don't know exactly what that means usually. Usually that's what people say on...
Well, technically, let's talk about democracy. We're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, but we could...
What does the word republic mean?
All day.
Yeah, no, we don't have to, because the word republic has been understood for centuries to be interchangeable with democracy. There's synonyms. That's like saying it's not a square, it's a rectangle. It's a type of rectangle. Right. Literally, republic and democracy are interchangeable words.
Okay. Sorry, my phone is fucking up. Sorry, what was your question?
Do you believe that Project 2025, what's the worst thing you heard as a part of Project 2025?
Abolishing LGBTQ plus rights.
Have we been abolishing LGBTQ plus rights?
Well, I've heard about what really pissed me off recently was reading about, how Obergefell, how he's going to possibly take that back to the Supreme Court.
Let's talk about that's a thing that right now, because of Kim Davis, Obergefell will be probably evaluated by the Supreme Court. Whether we'll lose it or not, I'm not sure, because I don't think Neil Gorsuch would overturn it, and I don't think John Roberts would. But whether we'll lose it right now is up in the air. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm being hopeful, but those two have precedent to believe they're not going to fuck with it unless they decide to do we'll let the states decide, like the abortion thing. But at least with gay guys getting married, there are men there, so they might respect them. Just a little dark ass joke about the misogyny in this country.
That really concerns me.
So trans people have already had rights torn away. You've already had a giant cultural change, as well as the president basically using this word woke, which, by the way, used to have far more to do with racial injustice. And now they're just using it as this blanket term, and taking away federal funding from institutions which are quote unquote too woke. And these are institutions that are pivotal to queer acceptance and queer education, like NPR, like what's the physical version of it, the ones you can read and shit. Not to mention the fact that queer people in other countries are also disproportionately affected by us getting rid of USAID, which I don't know why we can't call USAID and we have to always say USAID, but disproportionately yes, queer people have been affected. And I'm not even sure
Yeah,
that
I
that
would not
is the
agree with.
number one thing that's going to fuck us up with Project 2025, as far as the number of people impacted. Like, for example, all right, if you had to guess, do you think they've already implemented the attack on climate change research? Because that was a big part of it.
I'm pretty sure I read something about them taking funding, a lot of funding.
So to a conservative, would you say like, so then because all they did was take funding, therefore all we now as people have to do is get together and like privately fund them? What would be your solution to that?
I mean, privately fund it.
Great. So they also fired
Basically.
400 of the researchers, and those existing systems in place are gone, as well as scrubbing the data, meaning that once we ever do, quote unquote, either privately fund it, despite the fact that this is clearly a public interest that it be done, if we ever do get it back, the data is already gone. We are now behind where we were because they are scrubbing it from the websites and the servers. They are scrubbing mentions of it, but they're not destroying America.
What
Climate change isn't going to kill Donald Trump. It might kill you and it might kill me.
What the hell? See, y'all are educating me because I have no idea.
Great. So
And I
keep
know
watching.
I sound so stupid right now, but I genuinely had no idea.
I think what we want to do now is move to the next call and say, watch the shows more and do educate yourself more, and don't vote next time unless you have.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye, McLean.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.
I will say I have a little bit of wonder.
Yeah.
It's Poe's
Childlike
law.
wonder.
No. I don't know if I think that call, I don't know. There's so much weird about the call where I'm like,
It was.
is there a chance that was a person who was like, I'm going to be a caller that I'm going to give them a breakthrough call? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, you're like not willing to believe that you were actually reaching someone for a minute there.
Well, but especially a call that starts with like, was such a big fan of this stuff and
Like
everything.
fawning, yeah.
Yeah. But apparently I've missed your last 3 years of dirtbag leftism, at least last year of dirtbag leftism. And then the transition from liberal progressivism to full on leftist after the, man, when did I make the change? I guess it was around Biden's election. I'm older than I think I am a lot of the time.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like we all lost a year of aging, not like physically, but like progressing through life and aging to the pandemic. And then I had my health things the last couple of years. And I feel like I should get a redo of 30 to 35 because I pretty much didn't get to do those. And
Which is a bummer because I love this age range. I'm 31 and I'm like, this is the best I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good right now at 35, but I feel old sometimes. My bowels are hit or miss. All right, let's go to, well, actually, real quick, Greg, just hold on for a second.
First.
Yeah, everybody hit that like button. You can share this out in places, do things, participate in the chat, clicks, things that will expand the algorithm outward and help us get more people to follow, watch, and stop. Remember that today's claim is that MAGA is destroying America. If you would like to contend with this wherever you are coming from, whatever position you hold, you can do so by calling that number. We're going to go probably right until 6 Central, 6 o'clock Central, at which time we will transfer our audience over to Chewed Gum, which is over on the line tonight. And I think that tonight it is Gutsick Gibbon, aka Erica. And I don't remember who is subbing in for. Alyssa has a family thing. So I think it might be Taylor.
Erica? No. Yeah, I don't see who's covering.
Taylor. Erica and Taylor will be tonight. So, Skeptical Heretic, that is. All right, let's continue onward, Christian soldiers. Greg in New York. Hello. Greg, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a day we're not bothered by rain in New York City, and that's good. I love a lot of work, Guts Gibbon, and you, and also the YouTube channel Things Your Mom Should Have Told You, and also Secular Talk. You're one of the top 10 greats, Jimmy Snow. I wanted to say that I disagreed with the claim that MAGA is destroying America, and explain why.
Great.
The reason I disagree with that claim is because when Reagan and then later Trump in 2016, or no, he started running in 2015. When Reagan and Trump came along with the slogans and hats that said "Make America Great Again" in 1980 and 2015, to say that ruined America, I feel idolizes America in 1978, and I feel that America in 1978 was more problematic than a lot of people remember, and was more problematic than a lot of people realized. And I think we need to remember that Jimmy Carter failed to confront a lot of racism and sexism and anti-Semitism and classism and elitism and ableism. And I think that, and also failed to confront those things in Israel, by the way, which is part of why the world is the way it is now. But I think that to say that, I feel idealizes 1978, which I do not want people to do. Do you feel that way?
Sure. I think so far we're doing a couple of things, though. First of all, one, we're talking about things we mostly agree on, that there isn't, I think, to put simpler, when is the again part of Make America Great Again? However, MAGA and simply the slogan Make America Great Again, I think it's pretty clear by context we are talking about the modern MAGA movement, which is Donald Trump. Bringing in Reagan, sure, he used that slogan. Technically, so did Bill Clinton. But the MAGA movement we are, I think, certainly talking about right now are the people in the red hats with the funny flags, with the Trump as a cult leader head. And I think you're using a very broad, like, take everybody into the camp, whoever uttered the words right now. I think you're perhaps being myopic.
If I may posit, I would say that there is a very direct line I see between June 1983 ideology of Reaganism and Reagan's fans and June 2023, 40 years later, Trump fans. And I think
I agree. However, I wouldn't have used, if Mitt Romney had become president, I wouldn't have used the same claim as that they are destroying America. I would consider it more of just the slow march toward the end of capitalism instead of right now, which is the fast march toward the end of capitalism for instead fascism. Or perhaps we get our shit together and actually go somewhere good. Like,
well, I feel that looking at world history, throughout world history, the people that tend to bring situations like this into a different direction tend to either be, or the situation we were in, 10 and a half years ago. The people that tend to change that direction is there a couple different flavors of leader. One is like Hitler or Mussolini. Another might be like FDR, where they try to give people enough food that for a while they don't feel like revolting, and then they have some food stamps. There are leaders like Castro and Che Guevara, where they take things in a different direction, and say what you will, about them. People ate, a little better after the Cuban Revolution than before the Cuban Revolution. There's lots of things to criticize about, Castro and Che Guevara, although modern Cuba is mostly pretty functional, in my opinion. But I just don't know. I guess the question is, it feels sort of like we're in a hole, and I'm not quite sure how we get out of this.
Okay.
Do you ever feel that way? Just politically, I mean, looking
sure,
at it's sort of.
I've seen that civilization perseveres before at least there was the potential of nuclear holocaust. So I don't think that we get out of it the normal way, but or normal ways we've seen, or modern ways we've seen things. But I don't think that humanity will. What am I trying to say? When you say get out of it, I think humanity will persevere. But I would like to not die if I could avoid it too.
What I'm trying to say is it's sort of, friends of mine have asked, should I get a passport or renew my passport? And I'm thinking, given how unresponsive the DNC leadership is to a lot of my emails and a lot of my friends' emails, and given the direction the country is in, I can't say it's a bad idea for you as a trans person to get your passport renewed, or as a Jewish person, I can't say that it's a bad idea to prepare for something we haven't experienced in our lifetimes. Do you feel that way? I mean, is that just me?
Of course I feel that way, but I think it's undermining what you are here to argue, which we haven't gotten yet, which is that MAGA is not destroying America. But if you think that people who are on the out group of MAGA should potentially be preparing to flee, then either you have a different definition of what America is supposed to be like, whether you're a constitutionalist or not, but the idea that it is supposed to be for all people, or you have a different definition of MAGA. So I'd rather than keep finding out what we have in common, I'd like to get to your argument of how they aren't destroying America.
Oh, well, I would say that MAGA is destroying America. If what you're saying about how the modern, Trump as cult leader movement, it is destroying America, I would say that it is, in fact, eerily similar to the early to mid 80s. And so
wait. Did you tell the screener that, or did you tell the screener you think MAGA is not destroying America? And in what context did you not? If so, in what context did you think?
I guess I agree with the idea that MAGA is destroying America, but the phrase MAGA is destroying America, I think makes it sound as if back in 2014 or back in 1978 things were fine or okay, and I would be hesitant to say that because I feel like MAGA came out of a failure to address a lot of issues.
This strikes
Trump
me as a level of
Reagan.
pedantry. America was built on slavery. So the entire concept of America, you could say, is fundamentally bad, fundamentally premised on white supremacy. And some people would say that, and I might even agree with them to an extent. But there is, even just in a coherent sense of what a government is, America as a concept is being destroyed because democracy is being destroyed because these agencies that represent our government or that comprise our government are being destroyed. So if you want to be annoying and pedantic about the idea that America was an idealized version of itself before, of course, it's always been shitty, but that's what they want to return to. When they say make America great again, they're saying, let's go back to being openly racist.
I don't even know too whether or not one can be very capably pedantic and hold up in that scenario, because it sounds like you're saying our language proposes that MAGA is bad because it won't allow us to make America great like it was in the past. That we also want to make America great again, as in return to a past state as our alternative to MAGA. And so I feel like we'd have a war of the pedants.
I have heard a lot of Democrats. I actually haven't heard you say this, and this is part of what I appreciate your show. I have heard a lot of Democrats, ones I disagree with, say things like, everything was going great up until Trump. And I sort of think, no, things were not going great up until Trump and MAGA.
Is this in your personal world? I don't think I've heard it. First of all, I'm not a Democrat, so that's probably why you're not going to hear me sound much like a Democrat. But is this in your personal life, or is there somewhere I have access to a person who is making that claim that I can humiliate them?
I look through a lot of Reddit, and there are some Democrats who are way too into idealizing Joe Biden, who say everything was great before Trump and MAGA came along, and it's sort of how about people with actual influence, people who I could debate, people who we don't even know if they aren't DNC AI bots, right? Because listen, some of the people that I'm saying might be DNC AI bots, you might prove they're human, and I don't know that I would change my position that they're still DNC AI bots, because at a certain point they seem to be it's much more minor compared to Trump, but you are going to have the cult-like devotion because there are assholes out there. There's a dude on Threads who I follow who is a major DNC. I think he ran the social media for, and I follow him because I think he's handsome mostly. But his name is Keith Edwards,
And this guy, clearly his job is to make those cult bots. Because if you watch the way Keith Edwards will like totally pretend the Democrats are amazing when they do the exact same shit Republicans are doing, and will try and blow up differences. I mean, these people are absolute. There are shills for the DNC. Keith Edwards is at least growing in influence. If he ever wanted to debate me on whether or not the DNC is any good, I'd happily do it. Do you have anybody who matters because we actually can confirm they're real people that have made that claim?
Oh, I don't have access to those kinds of influencers with 50,000 followers or something like that.
I don't even necessarily
say,
I just need them to be like, do you have a congressperson? Do you have anybody who is a public figure in the space?
Well, yeah,
and again, not.
You know what? Yeah, actually, I email my my Congress people and my senators, and I get back responses like this. Jerry Nadler, Chuck Schumer, Kristen Gillibrand, I believe, and they sometimes, I mean, whenever I do get through to them, and it could be an AI bot responding, they reply back with that, and sometimes I wonder, are we getting through to people who are brainwashed by DNC AI bots? And I think we are.
Can you go find those emails? Doesn't have to be right now, later. Highlight the parts where they make a claim, like, because I will devote at least a segment of a podcast, because I probably can't get Jerry Nadler to come on the show, to absolutely embarrass them if they actually have language that even implies the statement, everything was good until Joe Biden left office. Everything, Joe Biden, the country was going great. America was great before Trump. If they have any kind of implication of any of those things, I will happily try and embarrass them. Of course, they aren't writing any of those things, just like Gavin Newsom isn't writing all of his. They're still fun. Even I, as a leftist, can enjoy those parody tweets.
Politicians have often had money for speech writers and people to come up with
it's all
euphemisms
outsourced
and things.
It's a room of nerds.
All right. Well, it's been good talking to you, Jimmy. Keep up the good work.
All right. Contact at qnaline.com if you feel like undertaking that task.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thanks. I don't get the I don't know. Also, I would like to propose, first of all, so here's the number. We have open lines if you want to call in and challenge the proposition, which is that MAGA is destroying America. If you want to talk to actual leftists who, by the way, not Democrats, we're not going to sit here and tell you that, oh man, everything was great until, if Biden had just gotten that second term. Biden should have stayed in. Biden, by the way, should have kept his promise and not been a fucking liar and dropped out before the goddamn primaries with his whole, I'm going to be a bridge candidate to the next generation. I'm serious. Not a joke. I'm going to do one term and I'm out. I'm going to help the next generation take power.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and now we're all getting to see live the mistake of all of that, as though he's not even president and he's actually still aging more like he's president. Doesn't he have, what is it, stage 2 prostate cancer or something? What kind of cancer maybe?
I can't remember.
What cancer did Biden get? What cancer?
What cancer Biden?
I'm just going to write, what cancer does Biden? The phone number is on the screen there. It is 1-336-543-2101. We have lines open, but I certainly don't think anybody should. Oh, I'd like to propose that it should actually be pronounced pedantry. Because pedantic and pedantry, there are no modifying letters that should soften the A. The Y at the end would be isolated to its final syllable, and pedantry, being the tree form of pedantic, is kind of weird. Or one could argue that if it's not pedant, pedantry, pedant. We just need to be consistent, people. I'd like to get a little more consistent with it. And I'm going to continue to say pedantry and annoy people who go, oh my God, can Jimmy learn how to pronounce that? I refuse. Aggressive form of prostate cancer, and it has metastasized to his bones. Here's the thing that's crazy about that. I swear, when you hear about that, Gleason score of 9, highly aggressive, and then they're like, but yeah, we're actually pretty sure he's going to beat it. We're really not worried about it. Those are the times where it's like, I don't think that they're hiding the cure for cancer, but it's weird to think that they're not if he actually does beat that shit, because that's real aggressive. It's the kind of thing where if you hear your uncle has it, you're like, has anybody already claimed his car?
Let's make arrangements. Yeah.
Right. Where's his stuff going? Who's getting his stuff?
Bone cancer. It's rough stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if there was going to be a cure for cancer, they just canceled it with canceling all mRNA research. They were like working on a vaccine for cancer.
Do you have a secret Twitter? I'm just curious.
I don't really use Twitter anymore. I have a Twitter. It's now on lockdown, and I don't post there anymore.
I have a secret one now because there's stuff happening over there I needed to see. And I don't just mean boobies. Threads, give us boobies. What the fuck's wrong with you? Come on, Threads. Get the fuck out of here with the no boobies.
I'm to Blue Sky. We got boobies.
Yeah, but you don't have people. That's the problem with Blue Sky. It's like...
There are a lot of people there as far as I can tell.
I've seen all 4 boobies on Blue Sky. All 4
You know
of
what
them.
this is very sad actually, that before the election, people were posting boobies way more. And like, I think that it's just because everything sucks and everybody's like talking about politics. Like Blue Sky before the election was my escape on the internet. It's like, okay, we're just going to go look at boobies and talk about anime or whatever we're doing over here. And then since the election, like Twitter, which used to be the place that I would go to for news, now Blue Sky is just that. It's just that all the time. Everybody always. And I'm like, wow, this is really sad. But also Blue Sky has separate feeds where you can go to the garden feed and it's completely separate. And it's a bunch of people that you don't even follow. And you can be like, wow, look at pretty flowers.
Oh, that's fun. But not really for me. But I believe it is for you. Blue Sky, I think a lot of the reason why they are down to just 4 boobs is I think that as a business position, the people who were posting on there, it stopped paying out dividends. It like only pays out dividends during the surges where like Threads does something and it's like, oh, today Mark Zuckerberg bought Hitler's, I don't know, favorite shirt and he's wearing it every day or whatever other weird fascisty shit he does. And so then a bunch of people are like, that's it, I'm going to Blue Sky until it's not active enough and then I'll just come back. Somebody in chat would like come to
lots
Mastodon.
of people say, lots of people who look at web analytics say that they get a large portion of click-through traffic from Blue Sky compared to other social media. So we should at least have an official social media presence over there, if for nothing else than the click-through rate, because they don't suppress links on Blue Sky. Yeah. So people are finding it actually commercially viable to post over there, even if there are fewer people and because of that, just lack of algorithmic suppression.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to say a little note to the mods who I hope are listening. Be way more lax on chat over here. Like what we do on the line. If people aren't being outwardly gross or using bigoted slurs, let's calm down. We're on vertical. We're in the shorts feed right now. So if somebody wants to come in and just type, who are these dumb fucks? That's fine. Now, if they start spamming, that's a different thing. But this is... just as the calls kind of end up being a little more unhinged over here, so shall the live chat be. So let's just let's chill in the live chat. Let's let people be a little bit more themselves. We can even let them argue to a point, but remembering that the point when those people show up is to get them to call, which is another reminder. We have open lines right now, 336-543-2101. If you would like to call and challenge whether or not MAGA is destroying America, which I contend it absolutely is, and I don't believe any of you who call can prove me wrong. I was going to say tell me otherwise, but that's not true. Anybody can.
They certainly can tell you otherwise.
Yeah, that's easy. That shit's easy. I guess we could, while we see if some of those are coming in, we could take a couple super chats. Wow. Why is the auto screener taking so many of these things out? Do we really not? Can we just get the word? I will try and make sure the word fuck is not.
I don't think there's any control you have over that.
I can't say, I know that I can add words on purpose. Like people who may try to dox, you can like put your you can put your real name in a database. You can block
things in the thing, but I think that the curse words are just going to get caught up by the automatic whatever.
Which is funny because we just saw that video about how YouTube you can now curse the beginning of episodes and they're not going to be fucking Nazis about it. I'm saying that ironically to try and still get
Mm-hmm.
demonetized.
Or at least on restricted mode.
Yeah.
Fighting to get on restricted mode.
Let's see. Here's that doesn't fit at all. Does this one fit? No, that's bad too. Let's make it fit. Make it fit. All right, we're gonna change overlay 2, and that'll make it fit. Let me come to overlay 2, switch to picture in picture, and okay, all right, there we go. Reset that. Take that down a touch. Let's see if that is enough change. No, we need a little more change. Sorry, people, you're going to see it live, which is funny because I'm putting this overlay where if any of you have the live chat on, which for those of you who don't know and it annoys the fuck out of you, if you have no interest in the live chat, you can turn the live chat off by hitting the 3 dots in the top and turning off the live chat's visibility. If you would like to now ironically thank me for that information in the live chat, you may do so now. You may use the tool which you are retreating from. I think that's a little too much. Maybe a little bit of zoom back. Can you see it? Lux?
Oh, am I back?
There
Sorry.
you go.
There's loud shit happening outside, so I keep having to mute myself. Yeah, I can see it. It's real small, but I can read it.
All right, we're doing our best, people. Call us right now, 336-543-2101, if you would like to explain to us why you think MAGA is not destroying America. I'd even more love to hear why you think MAGA is doing well, like with our first caller, who I'm sure was not pretending. Fanatic215 asked, or says, has a comment, wrong, Jimmy. He said he doesn't know what it is, but he knows there is some good stuff in there and some bad stuff. If Donald Trump ever said he thought there was bad stuff in Project 2025, I am not aware of that, but I'll take a look. In fact, let's find out. Did Trump say there was some bad stuff in Project 2025? And moreover, if he says there's some bad stuff, but also he's gonna do nothing to stop those things, I give a fuck. Because last time, the way that came, he tried to gaslight us all into like, no, it's not that this was bad. Everybody's so happy that it's going back to the States. That's what they wanted. They wanted it to go back to the States. And he just pretends. But I'm not aware of him saying that any of them were bad. But it looks like, let's see, called parts of it abysmal. I'd love to hear him say which ones. That's what I want to hear.
It never does, though.
We are past 60% completed or in active progress, as in not on the burner. I think it's something like 40% completed, and another 20% that are currently in an active march toward happening.
And I think people probably should be aware that these are not necessarily going to roll out federally all at the same time. Like that it's going to happen incrementally, and sending things back to the states is still part of an erosion of those rights, even if, oh, well, whatever, you can always just move. Like, yeah, we all are aware. We all know that. Right. That doesn't mean that it hasn't already started.
Also, can you just move?
You have $10,000, you can.
Right. Yeah.
That is what I learned.
Who will take you? Who will take anybody for 10 grand?
Yeah.
Where does 10 grand get you?
Oh, I mean, 10 grand gets you like a $3,000 U-Haul and pays for like multiple nights in hotels as you cross the country, and gets you at your new apartment, your security deposit, like all those things that you need to do. Or, I mean, I'm just saying in a blue state, like, yeah, we are, like, I'm saying, like, yeah, these rights are being eroded in red states, and you can just say, whatever, blah, 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 just move to a blue state, because we have those rights still, but that's not, like, a solution to the problem, and it's very expensive.
Right.
And, yeah, if you were going to Canada, yeah, add more onto that, because you've got immigration costs, and you got to, like, get a visa or what the fuck ever, like, yeah, even more.
I want to check one stat real quick. This is where I meant you should vamp a little.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. I have auditory processing, so I did not hear you. Yeah. So, what's
Okay, I
going on,
found it.
everybody?
63% of adults said that they would not be able to cover a $400 emergency using cash or an equivalent if an emergency came up, right? So, or was it? Wait. I might have said that backwards. They could cover a $400 emergency. 63%. 36% said they couldn't do a $500. They wouldn't be able to. They'd be unavailable to afford a $500 car repair. And 59% of Americans lack sufficient savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense. Only 41% could pay it up front from savings. So first of all, like the whole like people who are, when they say like you could just move, it's always coming from a tremendous point of privilege, or it's coming from a tremendous point of perceived privilege. Because to tell you the truth, I've been told to move by like white trash MAGA people who are barely making rent on their trailer, who they wouldn't be able to afford to move, right? Like it's not something they could even do. Or like last week, Rachel was yelling at Art and I, if we don't like the country, we should just leave it. So I just returned it to her because the country isn't meant to be the fascist nightmare that Rachel wants it to be. No matter how hard she wants it, that's not what it's supposed to. That's not the idea for the future of America. And the fact of the matter is that the Constitution was made to change and update with the times. Conferences are supposed to be happening every couple decades to do just that. And if we were actually following an American ideal, we would be doing that and we would be modernizing it. Anyway,
Yeah, like if you hate the queers so much, go to fucking Saudi Arabia or something. I don't know.
Right. Go where you always want to say like, oh, well, if you were there, they'd kill you immediately. Well, if you love it, if you love their homophobia so much, go be with them. Random Electronic suggested calling it Boob Sky. And Balthazar says, I wouldn't argue MAGA is destroying America, but rather that MAGA is the result of 50 years of Reagan-era rhetorical and rhetoric and policies combined with an anti-intellectualism of the Bush era. I don't think obviously you needed foundationally conservatism, and yet I still think that when you're talking about policies, I don't think that MAGA is a policy movement at all. The anti-intellectualism, I don't think started with the Bush era. And George W. Bush also isn't as stupid as we think he is. He just broadcasts it very well. He's a smart, or was a smart enough guy. And there's a reason why the Republicans liked him. That doesn't mean he was good, but he's not truly dumb. He just says really dumb things and has a funny accent.
It's mostly the accent.
The anti-intellectualism and the cultism of, sure, you can say that they had that foundation to build on, but Roger Ailes is far more responsible for what has happened to Republicans in this country than Ronald Reagan or Bush or anybody else. It is a non-policy cult movement, it's not a policy movement. Yeah, Balthazar followed up. Basically, MAGA is just the most recent face of 65-plus year plan to destroy America from the GOP, but they didn't think they could do it without dog whistles until Trump was too stupid to use them. I think that you are kind of failing at, is it Hanlon's razor? You are attributing to malice that which can be attributed to stupidity. I think a lot of the people are, I don't think it was people in their mind going, we're going to destroy America. I think in their mind, they were going to make Christianity the law of the land, and their billionaires were going to get more billions. I think it was about being rich, and I don't think it was even done by a lot of them with contempt. And I think before the current era of the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the like, there were probably a lot of very good-hearted Republicans who genuinely fell for, because I was, I think, one of these at one point, and certainly I know there are people in my family who genuinely fall for a Christian message and even could get to power on that basis of conservatism being what's best for everybody. And that most of that is, even in the people in power, built on being able to really convince yourself that the difficulties you as a rich politician are going through are you understand what the like highest form of oppression and highest form of struggle is. And therefore, if you could have picked yourself up by your bootstraps, which no one ever has ever because it's physically impossible, then anybody could. But I would like to once again restate, please go put on bootstraps and show me how anybody with any amount of strength or flexibility can pick themselves up by them. Please lift yourself off the ground by your shoes.
I mean, isn't that the origin of the phrase? That it was like a stupid thing that obviously no one could do, and it has just switched meaning over time?
Right. As there are multiple phrases like that now.
Blood's thicker than water is another one.
That's right. It's just a few bad apples, in which it's a few bad apples spoil the barrel, or as Jovan found one even earlier than that. But Jovan still thinks that apples come in bunches, which they don't. They come in bushels and barrels. Those are the actual units of measurement. Bunches are for bananas, people. Bunches are for bananas. Hey, open lines. We are ready. Who in chat is ready? Let's get a little poll out here. Are you MAGA? And I want to know of you MAGA people who are willing to call and defend that MAGA is, for example, good for the country. Are any of you? Can any of you make that claim? Can any of you put down? I doubt it. I just realized I have not been recording this episode. We record in horizontal to make it easier to edit after. That's okay, because the first two calls, the first call might have been, but I'm very skeptical of the first.
It was a little weird.
Yeah. Skeptical of the authenticity. It was a little too easy to make them see the light. A little too easy. All right, people, that's that phone number, 336-543-2101.
And you better hit the like button, or I'll get you.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it. The fuzzy logic says, considering how the Trump admin wipes its ass with the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, and 14th Amendments, I wouldn't be surprised if they switch from just move to only white men will get freedom of movement now. Hey, listen, first of all, I think the only reason, barring maybe the second, the only reason they aren't doing the rest of those amendments is they probably just haven't read them. They don't know what they are. I feel like Trump would be like, all right, what is the 3rd Amendment and how can I do it? Hey, by the way, who's excited? We're going to make you start quartering soldiers. You're going to have to start. Soldier walks up to your house and says, give me a bed. You give him your bed. You're going to quarter our soldiers. Like before long, that's going to happen. You saw him laughing with Zelensky yesterday about, so if in 3.5 years there's a war, I guess there wouldn't have to be an election.
Yeah, love that. Did you see the wall of hats? Like, he was showing off to Zelensky his wall of hats, and among those hats it says like Trump 2028 and like other things that indicate that he's obviously, we all know. We've been knowing that it's going this direction, but he's just like, yeah, let me show you, Zelensky, my wall of things about how I'm going to run for a 3rd presidential term. Yeah.
Everything's fine, guys. We'll be fine. It's not bleak
Don't
at all.
worry about us.
By the way, that gold ass accent. All right, here's another thing. If you want to call in right now, we've got the poll in the chat, and we're waiting for the MAGA. I'm not surprised. MAGA people are never brave. They talk a big game. They're keyboard warriors, but they don't call in, right? You're too afraid. You know that actually if you have to come and you bring facts, you have to bring actual like backup for what you believe, you can't do it. So I assume that's why you're not calling. Because if you have it, you'll call. You'll call 336-543-2101. The number's in the description. If you're wanting to call internationally, there is a link in the description, and the number's also on the screen. It's so easy to do. But I know you won't because you're fraidy cats. Y'all just fraidy cats. Anyway, what was this one? This super chat says, watching with horror from Australia and getting joy from whenever our government refuses MAGA and right-wingers entry based on crimes against human decency. Keep up the great work as voices of reasons, Jimmy and Luxander. Well, thank you, M.A. Appreciate it. Appreciate. And Balthazar says, I only base it off of Lee Atwater's interview where he revealed that all the Reagan-era rhetoric was just the N-word disguised as economic rhetoric in a 1981 interview. GOP politicians were either ignorant or likely complicit. I think Donald Trump is Ronald Reagan as president was serving billionaires in a future economy that, yes, would definitely not work for anybody but the white dudes that he liked. But generally, I don't think he had the base to pass that kind of stuff. And so that sort of thing, he was able to soft launch. And certainly there are foundational things that passed that now they've been able to expand upon and make even worse. As far as Trump goes, I don't think Trump even cares that it be that other. It's basically Trump cares that he gets richer, and then anybody else he is looking to help make richer are people who will continue to make him richer or make him feel very. I mean, just look at Apple trying to get off the tariff list, and they're like, all right, go print this tacky ass gold base and we'll give him a trophy and he'll probably leave us the fuck alone. That's my best charity reading of it. Because I can't just switch to Android like that, people. I have to have some way out. And my thought process is they're like, if we spend $20,000 now or whatever it is for the gold base, let's say it was 20 grand, maybe it's less. I hope it was. But that gold base, my best charitable thing is by spending a few $1,000s on this dumb thing, we likely will not have to skyrocket the prices of iPhones for Americans when they try to force us to manufacture it at home or pay high tariffs, because it's also impossible to manufacture at home. You couldn't manufacture at home. We don't have the skilled labor to do it. We are years and years away from having the quantity of engineers and people who can do that. It won't happen. It's not going to happen. And that's why those phones that they're promising for Trump Mobile will be made in America. I guarantee you the breakdown will show you that they are not actually made in America. But you'll see. You'll all see.
Excited to be able to talk about accelerationism.
Oh, I know. I see it. It's screening. I see it screening. I'm very excited too, and I'm looking forward to the long list of examples of times that ever worked.
So many times.
Well, what about that one time? Oh, what? Germany's having a rise of a fascist party too? Oh, shit. So it didn't even work the biggest time? The biggest modern time that we at least have on camera? I guess there have been a couple other pretty large competing genocides, but we filmed that one. What'd you say?
I was just going to say, like, let's not start competing genocides. That sounds like somebody's going to take that up as a challenge.
The Genocide Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the United States, like when we're making the argument, and I'm going to try to keep this short because I know we're going to take this caller soon, but like talking the topic of trans genocide, like are the policies being enacted in the United States like constituting the UN definition of genocide? And then I was like having a debate about that with some people who were like, well, by that logic, we're also genociding the Native Americans. And I'm like, you're starting to fucking get it.
That's right. So actually, we're going to have to start with something here that I know Luxander doesn't fully agree with me on either. But before I put your name up, I'm going to have to get consent from the caller. Caller Hoot, are you there?
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Hoot. You're probably not going to like this, and it probably is going to bother other people who are on the internet. However, the pronouns you've offered, we are willing to give you they, them, or if you have an alternative neo-pronoun. However, until I've actually seen like queer theory from psychologists and stuff that are okay with dehumanizing objective pronouns like it's, we actually don't participate in asking our cis audience to help reclaim what is ultimately a slur. Reclamation is usually amongst the group itself. And so if you're content enough with they, them, we'll do that. But we're not comfortable platforming the concept of it's at the moment.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. And given that this particular show is not necessarily trans focused, I'll go along with that. Makes sense to me.
All right, good enough. So Hoot, then I did move it on your call banner there, but I have to put it in the other place too. But if you want to go ahead and introduce it sounds like you're calling in basically in support of accelerationism. You may do so.
Yeah. So my context for the accelerationism is just kind of accepting the situation where it is. We have fascism in the form of MAGA getting what they want at an accelerated pace. So instead of slinking into the doomerist, like, well, this is where we are now, and a lot of the things we can try to do don't matter because they just ignore court orders. Rather, I I would argue that there is noticeable shift towards hardline progressive policies. Like Zoran Mamdani is a good example of this. For example, he is exceedingly popular, not just in New York, but around the country. A lot of the Democratic critique of Zoran Mamdani is falling incredibly flat, even with regular normies. And I feel we would not be in this situation where Zoran Mamdani is as popular as he is without MAGA demonstrating the depths of their their disdain for other humans and specifically vulnerable humans. And I feel then that given the situation and the circumstances that we are in, rather than just being, this is all bad, this is all terrible, I think we can at least take solace in the fact that it's going to wake a lot of people up to the fact that right-wing individuals have no care for good faith. They have no care for society as a whole. And the other option there, other than the status quo that the corporate Democrats seem to maintain, the other option would be to listen to leftists and listen to what we've been saying about fascists and about MAGA this whole time. They may be more willing to listen to us because we are being proven right time and time and time again, week after week.
So, my question then would be, what makes you feel that this more supports the concept of accelerationism and that we've actually escaped the traditional process of pendulum theory? That right now, to me, what you're describing is, I mean, your basis of what you're calling accelerationism is just what the basis of all activism is. We're identifying that things are not where they should be and they're getting worse, so we're going to work harder to make them better. But as far as this idea of like, they're seeing how bad the right is, so that's going to swing them to the left, I mean, literally Donald Trump is the pendulum swing back from Obama. I was there in 2008. We all were pretty sure America was good from then on out and that the Republicans would never win ever again. Now that like this argument of the anti-racist vote for Obama and healthcare and all of these things, none of those things were ever going to be in damage again. And it just swings right back. So what is it about Mamdani and what you're seeing now that you don't think then also results in, it's an accelerationist point to the end of fascism as opposed to a swing back out of fascism and then back into even harder fascism later?
I would I mean, I'm glad that you brought up Obama in particular, because a lot of progressives were critical of Obama even during his administration, especially in the latter half. And a more critical lens on his presidency and on his administration has cast a different light on his term as president. I will not deny that it was awesome at the time to see a black president. That made me excited, but
You're describing Obama, though, and not the votes, right? And so,
right.
yes, Obama was a letdown, but Obama won on an ideologically progressive idea at the time of especially what, almost promising something now like we'd call Medicare for all, and then getting rid of the single payer as soon, like really early on, and not actually fighting hard for shit, and becoming a war criminal. Sure, we all know of that looking back, but we're talking about an ideological pendulum. Donald Trump also hasn't delivered the things that he said he would deliver. So we're talking about what is making this. Are we winning the argument, or is the pendulum swinging?
So I would argue that a lot of people who initially believed Obama was a good president, like, I think, how do I form this thought? The thought's in my head. I just need to be very careful about how I word it. I don't want to misstep or get out of line, or be misunderstood for that matter. What I noticed is that a lot of white moderates thought that Obama was a good president because he was black. And they'll often cite certain aspects of his term, but in a very vague sense. And they just assume he was a good president because, oh, he was black. That was unprecedented. Yay, first in the history. And they think that's just automatically a good thing. Now I feel a lot of those same moderates are waking up to the realities of capitalism, waking up to the realities of the system we are in, and also recognizing that there are a lot of Democrats who genuinely want to maintain the status quo, and those moderates are not happy with the status quo. They want it at least changed somewhat, and the only people who are advocating for change are Mamdani types, are AOC types, people who are saying this shit sucks, we need to change it. And it's taken this really hard wake-up call from Trump and his administration in order for them to go, oh, like it's not just Orange Man bad now, it's everybody in that particular line of thinking is bad.
All I have to say is I wish I had whatever Canadian algorithm you have that is feeding you this idea that moderate Democrats are becoming more, are starting to be picked up by leftists, and that they aren't still falling down. And especially like moderate Democrats as an old generation, even more problematic, the newer generations of people going more right wing, and that it is that we have become such a TikTok society that it's more about who you perceive would get more clicks, who you perceive would be more interesting, and I don't know where you are getting this idea that sure, Donald Trump is taking a hit right now, mostly over Epstein, and even that is starting to fizzle away. People aren't bringing that shit up near as much, and a lot of people are just accepting, all right, well, he probably is a pedophile, but I guess I'll live in the comfort of, I don't technically know for sure, wink, wink, as though it's not, he's only acting exactly like, but I don't know what they're pumping in your algorithm in Canada that is making you think that we are having a leftist surgence because Mamdani's not significantly left of what's his face,
Bernie
de Blasio. No, the former mayor,
Yeah.
like, and everybody hated de Blasio. Just so once de Blasio got going, Mamdani right now is cool and he's young and he's good looking. But once he gets to governing, we'll have, if honestly, like if Cuomo really wanted to try and convince people to not vote for him, he should stop going after his leftism, and they should start going and trying to just be like, just so you know, he's de Blasio 2.0. So good luck. The airports are going to smell like shit. The streets are going to be whatever. It's going to be, I don't know how Mamdani gives anybody any hope, because Mamdani has gotten the nomination. I like Mamdani, for the record. There are reasons why I celebrate that he's getting there and that we didn't do something stupid like put the last guy back in, and Eric Adams probably isn't going to win, and Cuomo, the disgrace. But seriously, like, those were your best two. That was like the best they came to. So it's kind of like, remember when Alabama, they had Roy Moore, I think was his name, go against Doug something. And Doug Jones, was it? Roy Moore and Doug Jones, are these the right names? Where it was like, oh my God, it might be finally over. MAGA might be finally done because a Democrat was able to get a senator seat in Alabama against a confirmed pedophile at that point. And by the way, he barely won. So it was like, only here would this be possible. And only in New York City, where their best two candidates running against him were Eric Adams and resigned in disgrace former Governor Cuomo. Only those two. Mamdani, while his popularity is growing because he's cool and he's good, the idea that like that should give us hope that leftism is starting to break through is a weird. You've got that sweet Canadian algorithm that I bet smells like syrup.
I mean, I will state just very clearly, I intentionally avoid algorithms as much as possible. The only website where I use algorithms at all to curate a timeline is on Facebook. And that's because I only use Facebook to stay connected with some local friends. I use Blue Sky without the For You page or whatever it's called. I've in fact removed it from the selection of timelines I can see. And I also use Mastodon. But what I am noticing, though, is that
You
there are a
probably
lot
need
of
to start
people-
using some Nazi platforms. Not like
No,
supporting,
thank you.
but you probably need to actually see what the... so I'm not trying to build up at all, but I now have a secret Twitter account because I need to not be missing what's happening over there.
Right.
Like you can
Right, and
you
I
can
don't
close
focus
your
on that.
windows as the Gestapo gets your neighbor so you don't have to see it, or you can watch the Gestapo and try to have a plan. And I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah. I totally get that. I'm not in a position where that is useful for me, so I choose not to. But you're in a position where that is useful to you, so I respect that. In any case, though, what I am seeing a lot, maybe your critique on my belief that moderate liberals are moving to the left, maybe that may be incorrect, but I am noticing a much more amplified and much more radicalized number of people that were previously either silent or not caring. Like there are people who are just like, well, the wrong guy got in and then we'll move over or whatever. People are now getting to the point where they're saying things that I had not heard them say or post about before. They're talking about indigenous people and their land rights and land back, and all of this other stuff. They're talking about it with a confidence as if like they've sat there and actually learned, like, okay, what is this about? Like progressives were right about this and this and this. So, it seems like people who were previously not engaging in a political climate for the past 8-10 years are now suddenly awakened to it. And they're starting to see things in a different way and starting to understand that politics do affect them, even if they think they don't. Because if it doesn't affect them, it affects their neighbors and who their neighbor is going to be, right?
Do you feel like you're getting enough of the picture, though? Do you feel like you're getting enough of all of the other numbers you need to feel well? Like, do you feel like how many people you think are making this change overwhelms the 7 to 10 million people who voted for Obama and Donald Trump, or the 12% of the Bernie base who went from democratic socialism to MAGA? Do you feel like the numbers you think you're seeing are overwhelming those numbers?
It's hard to say because, I mean, what I'm seeing is just what I'm seeing. And
sure. So I'll tell you what I
honestly,
see. In 2028, Gavin Newsom is probably going to be president, not because he has good policies, but because he started earliest the anti-Trump funny movement. I don't know what to even call it. Like, he started being loud and boisterous, and let's be clear, he's handsome. He's a hot dude who the Democrats are not going to, no matter, look, would I way rather have AOC? Of course I would. But I'm also like, if you had to call it today, they are not going to do a person of color and a woman in the next election, period. The DNC is not going to do that.
Just go with Tim Walz. He was wildly popular.
Yeah, and they won't go with Tim Walz. Like, that's they might
fucking stupid.
They might VP him again one day, but he's not going to be the presidential candidate. If anything, the only reason I think they might is because it seems like they've been grooming him back toward the center. It seems like he's gotten a little more moderate, and that's been fucking sad. But the reason why I'm saying this is you're describing all of these good reasons why people should be changing, and you think they are. And that percentage of people compared to the people who are going to be like, I don't know, Trump just got out tweeted by handsome guy over here. And now when these two have to stand next to each other, Trump looks like fucking shit with his weird stepped forward like he's the front half of a centaur posture and literally like being looked down at by, despite the fact, didn't he tell us he was 6'4"? How's he getting looked down at? It will be that. Kamala Harris, bless her heart, had no chance unless they ran the election right after the she might have had a shot if it happened literally like the day after the convention happened, because of the newness and how like, ooh, this is fun and exciting, and the cool reality TV thing to do here. The vote that would get the audience the most excited and be like, ooh, this is new, would have been if she won at that point. But the fact that like the reason why leftist messages can break through to people is while there's policy behind them, they come straight to them, right? You are sick, but you have no health care. You are working, but you can't pay your rent. And the Democrats have given up on that messaging. The Republicans took it, but they didn't promise them health care. They just promised them better. It's going to be so much better and everybody's going to like it. The Republicans actually looked the Americans in the face last time and acknowledged that they were hurting and that shit was tough for them. And Democrats went, it's not, no, look at these numbers I have. The stock market's doing great. What do you mean your personal economy doesn't resemble the American economy? What do you mean? Things are good. What do you mean that like the job numbers being higher doesn't really help that much, because a lot of these jobs are like benefitless contractor style jobs that as contractors also don't pay you enough to go get you your own healthcare, but put you in this income margin where like you also don't get enough benefits to get good healthcare if you buy it yourself. Plus now rent costs are so high that like you can't actually afford anything beyond your rent, but we're considering you middle class. What do you mean? You're doing great because of Biden with the BBB. What do you mean? Nobody's the Republican policies didn't break through. The acknowledgement of their pain broke through. Leftism could break through because they go on that, but the DNC has a superpower in the way that right now, the best thing we have to do with Mamdani is bully the fuck out of the DNC to finally endorse them. And right now is when we have to do that, because unfortunately, if we don't do that, it is going to affect how we're going to be able to get 2016 and 2018 congressional seats installed. And basically, if we right now roll over and let Cory Booker get away from going like, well, you know, those were problematic things that he said, and even though Mamdani doesn't have an ounce of anti-Semitism in him, if we don't make them, they're going to once again see, if Mamdani still wins, oh, we don't have to actually court the leftist votes. They'll come and vote for us either way. And we need to try and disabuse them of that notion, even though in 2028, I'm probably going to end up voting for motherfucking Gavin Newsom for president, not for primary. I promise. If he doesn't make it to the general, I will never vote for Gavin Newsom in any kind of primary.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not necessarily saying that Democrats themselves are going to shift or anything. A lot of them are just utterly inept and stuck in their own circles, their own echo chambers or whatever. But I think, like,
or bank accounts. I don't even think they care about echo chambers. I don't think they're ignorant of the other stuff. I think their measure of whether they're a successful senator is whether or not they're making more money. So I must be doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that's a way to run any organization, let alone a government. But in any case, I think, like, and I'll classify this as saying, like, most of this is just anecdotal. This is based on my perception of things, and I'm in my own echo chamber, so some of this can be distorted. I just find that there's just a lot more intellectual discussion and more understanding on people who've previously been towards the center, closer to the center of progressive policies, and especially in comparison and contrast to the fascism we've been seeing, or the hyper-capitalism we've been seeing, the lack of regulation that we've been seeing, or the lack of enforcement of regulation. They're finally noticing that, like, oh, like your things were sounding too good to be true before, but now I'm realizing the other side doesn't have a solution either, right? Like, people, from my experience, from my perception, seem to be getting sick and tired of the same people saying the same shit. So I don't know. That's just what I'm perceiving. I'm not quite, like I'll admit, maybe I'm completely got it twisted, and people are just kind of set in their ways, and they're not changing or shifting one way or another. I just find it hard to believe that only one side is radicalizing and not the other side, right?
I
Especially
want to
with
throw
somebody who
in
is showing us exactly why the other side is so shit.
my 2 cents on this. Just as someone who's been watching this for, like I became politically aware during Obama. So that's like for everybody's frame of reference, that's how long I've been closely paying attention to this stuff. And it's like in previous times where we have had a swing toward conservatism, like so basically I'm just saying what have we seen happen already, and how can we interpret that moving forward as far as like people becoming more aware. What I saw happen was a bunch of people who mostly checked out of politics during Trump, and then when Biden got back in, they were like, "Oh, cool, we can just chill and relax now." And there was, because the fascism is exhausting, I think is part of it, and people just feel like a sense of relief, or they want to. I mean, people feel a sense of relief when they just tune out, regardless of whether the fascism itself is still occurring. And then we had Biden, and some uncontrollable things happened under his presidency that, made it, people were like, oh my God, Biden, the economy. It's like, okay, how about COVID, the economy? Maybe, more likely. And then now we have Trump in, and the accelerationism is currently accelerating. So I can also observe right now what is happening and ascertain, like, how is this going to affect people moving forward? I have seen a lot of people dropping out of politics or making political content because it's exhausting. I myself am pivoting gears, so I'm engaging with it, but less than I used to. I'm also seeing people browbeating left-leaning people already about voting for Newsom. Like already the blame that, oh, you're going to lose us the election because you T-slurs won't get in line. So one of the things that is accelerating right now is homelessness. So like obviously as the economy gets worse in a dramatic fashion, we're seeing a dramatic increase in the number of homeless individuals. And the bipartisan response to that is get rid of them. Like, and we all kind of can understand that get rid of homeless people without a comprehensive plan for getting them housed again means you basically want them dead. And that seems to be the response that people are having still. And like, obviously we all have our little different niches on the internet and everything, but in like less curated spaces. So like I would say Blue Sky for me is a very curated space. I straight up block people who are being annoying on there. I don't really care. But if you go into like Facebook and Instagram comments, which I do use both of those fairly actively, and like I'm just following local shit here. Like I moved to Oregon, I follow the governor, and like just seeing the comments from there, people are like, I don't see. So what I will grant you, and what I'm excited to see more of, is previously completely unaware individuals who are like, I've decided to get involved. I was very excited to see large amounts of people joining the DSA, Democratic Socialist of America, following the election. So like, we can hope that there are going to be people who previously were not politically active who are going to become politically active. But we have to remember that these events are polarizing, which means that not only are we going to get people who are like, I'm going to be a leftist and go left even harder, but we're also going to have people who double down on blue no matter who, and all of these kind of things that are like, whatever, any Democrat is better. Like, no, literally any Democrat isn't better. Like they're complicit in the accelerationism itself. And like, honestly, Biden being a kind of break from the fascism, I think was worse for America in some ways. Because people were like, I can breathe my little sigh of relief and I'll be okay. So I just doubt. I mean, people are so desperate for a sense of comfort and safety that I kind of doubt the majority of people, even if they are being negatively harmed by these policies, are going to have like the resources or personality to do the kinds of resistance that may become necessary as the conditions continue to deteriorate rapidly.
Yeah. I perhaps I could also offer some context. I pretty well agree with everything you've said. There's some libs who are just never going to admit reality and just double down, triple down, quadruple down that, no, getting rid of them is fine. And it's like, you ask them, well, where are you going to put them? You can't you can't get rid of them without knowing where the destination is. You're going to ship them off somewhere else. Where are you going to ship them off? Are you going to ship them off to red state, make it their problem? Then the problem still exists. You just made it not your problem, made it someone else's problem. And they don't like thinking about it too much. Those people are never going to think about it too hard because they're too comfortable in their lives to actually consider the situation for themselves. But I would argue that maybe where I'm coming from is the context of being from Saskatchewan in particular, where we had Tommy Douglas in the 20s and 30s implementing our version of healthcare, right? Our version of single payer healthcare. And that context is that back then there was a wide swing of misinformation, disinformation, pretty similar actually to what's going on now, about like, oh, this is going to cause huge lines at the ER. This is going to, people are going to die waiting for treatment and like, getting
Unlike
treated
America.
for measles
Yeah.
and all that other stuff. Yeah. And then he won, and then people open their eyes to it and realize, oh, this is a good policy. This works. This is great. Fast forward to the past 17 years, we've had Saskatchewan Party rule. For those who are not familiar, Saskatchewan Party is a right-wing political party here, and they've been in power for 17 years. In this particular instance, the idea of a pendulum isn't really happening here. We don't have that pendulum reaction. Granted, a lot of our electoral constituencies here in the province are, in my opinion, very much what's the word for like screwed up borders and constituencies and whatnot? What's the word? Gerrymandering?
Yeah.
I'd argue it's quite heavily gerrymandered, but also
you also just almost had a MAGA victory if it weren't for Trump. Like Trump is why you guys didn't get essentially a MAGA dude yourself, because the tariffs were so unpopular. They wanted someone who would fight Trump's tariffs. Luckily for you, you guys had the anti-American sentiment to vote on. And at the end of the day, people were like, yeah, I'm mad at Trudeau, but I'd rather have his successor than a person who would be cool with Trump, who is like targeting us for being Canadian, not based on political party.
Yeah, fair. But I guess like for me, I don't really care too much about Fed because like it couldn't impact me in the slightest. Like nothing the Fed does actually impacts me in any particular way like it does for y'all and, south of us. But granted, there were some situations where Pierre could have literally just reached out and touched me in a way where I wouldn't have liked, but
sure, or aligned himself with,
can't really do much.
Or allied himself for certain policies with the PPC, meaning he would have to give up something. So even if he's not for privatizing it, getting your healthcare system one step closer to privatization because he needed the PPC's support on something.
Right.
So when you say the pendulum swing doesn't exist here, first of all, it does. Well, but if you're only going on, are we really ever going to get rid of the private healthcare? Yeah, that specific thing, or the public healthcare, that specific thing, you're probably not going to. But all of Europe has that too, and I don't think you would say like with the raising of the AfD in Germany or the conservatives in the UK that they're not also experiencing pendulum shit, and yet they clearly still also get to hold on to their health care. Fuck, what is his face? Nigel Farage and dumb hair boy. What's stupid hair guy? He was the prime minister over in the UK. Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson had it on their bus. Like
I forgot about him.
Instead of, they don't run against private health care. They were like, let's get rid of the brown people and give that money to the to our NHS. They actually will use it as one of those points. Oh man,
your camera's gone.
Camera's been being weird for a couple days. You two keep chatting while we wait. Hey, if you're a MAGA caller and you want to defend MAGA, it is your last chance because we've only got a few minutes left in the show, about 13 minutes. So 336-543-2101. Call right now before it's too late. I'm going to take a step away and fix this situation.
Yeah, you betcha. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but the reason why I was specifically going towards the provincial aspect of things is because in our province, we haven't had that pendulum swing, right? Because the federal and the provincial are two different things, because you have a Saskatchewan party in the province that runs for provincial elections, but they don't have a federal comparison. They don't have a federal party that equates to that. It's a little bit different there. And the reason why I bring it up is because in this particular situation, the Sask party has perpetually stepped closer and closer to the right with cheap shots at trans people using the notwithstanding clause that allows them to basically admit that they are violating multiple charters in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and saying we don't care. Essentially basically like an executive, well, not really an executive order, but you get the idea though. It's basically violating the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that we have in order to implement a legislation or something like that. And as they step closer and closer to the right, people are starting to wake up and realize, oh, I voted for Sask Party on this particular issue, but like they're doing all these things that I like less than what they're doing here, than what they've done in the past and stuff like that. So even in this situation where there is no pendulum, where there is no swing, and like the pendulum is basically stuck in one corner, people are starting to see that swing over to the right and starting to think, oh, when they said this, they didn't mean it. Or when they said this, like when they said X, they meant Y, and Y doesn't help me, but X would have, right? So people are kind of waking up even here to conservative and like right-wing talking points and realizing just how empty and vapid they are and how manipulative they are. How much they
Are y'all
lie
just
to
learning
people,
about how politicians lie?
What's
Yeah,
that?
I was going to kind of say, like, this concept you have of the pendulum being stuck, it's kind of, maybe you can feel like it's stuck when you're like in the moment. But I feel like even now, as we look back on previous governments who were more progressive or whatever, and then we find out ways about how they were treating minorities, how they were treating the indigenous, and the people they were under, it's like, oh, we actually didn't notice the pendulum either had swung or didn't swing as much as we thought it had back our way when we thought it popped back over to the left. It actually didn't pop that far from the tree. I don't know. I guess I'll feel like there's right now you guys are stuck in at least I wouldn't say stuck. You're in a more progressive position than we are, but I don't know that you're any closer to wage inequality, wealth inequality being fixed. And then, by the way, if tomorrow I become president and I get to work with the best people to figure out the things we should be on, the difference in the policy of what we actually need to be addressing and what the most progressive person who could possibly get elected here actually doing are still so far apart, because we needed to start working on the labor force, the elimination of the labor force via robotics and AI 20 years ago. At least we needed to start implementing UBI concepts. If you're watching this show right now, there's like a 90% chance you won't be able to do the job you're doing right now in 20 years, if not 10 years, if not sooner. If you went to college because they're like, hey, get a modern job, so go into coding, you're fucked. The number of coders we are going to need, not zero. I'm not saying there will be zero coders, but you won't be one of them. Right? Statistically, It's not going to be you. So right now we're trying to catch up to today's problems while the next decade and more's problems needed to have been anticipated decades ago, and we haven't even begun. And that's going to fuck us all. Anyway, last thoughts here, because we've got one more caller we're going to try to take before it's over. Even though we only have a few minutes. I don't think they're MAGA anyway, but we'll find out.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate the comments on the matter from the two of you. It's just something I've been thinking about a little bit. Sorry,
I didn't know less about Canadian history.
Yeah, like maybe I'm just
Yeah,
desperate
almost
to try and find a diamond in the rough or like some
Right.
kind of positive, a silver lining where I'm like, oh, maybe people will finally wake up and realize the Nazis are bad. But
Again, AFD.
I don't know. It's
The Nazis are getting back in power in the Nazis' land. Germany is having a resurgence of it. And at best we can say the censorship and all of that kind of stuff that was arguably very good delayed the pendulum swinging back to Nazis. Because while they didn't gain power this time, the idea that the AFD will not take the power, be the main political force in the country in the next decade or two would be, I think, naive to presume. I hope they fail, and I hope that there is an awakening beforehand. But literally, if accelerationism has any basis, Germany should be the utopia, and it's going right back to its old ways. It's growing more and more. And I love being that Spain is the one that people love to say the most. Like, yeah, I hate it here. I'm probably going to Spain. I'm literally like, oh, no one's told you about the Vox Party yet? Like, I don't know what Western civilization to tell people to go to.
France.
To be safe from future fascism. You just know that with my like lisp and the words I can't say, that I can't pronounce the name of whatever French fascist party is raising to power.
I'll tell you later why France is good.
All right.
Yeah, France. I mean, did you see the? I mean, I know it's like a performative thing, but also, did you see the Olympic ceremonies? That was sick. That was awesome. Only a sick country can do that.
I didn't, because I don't watch the Olympics. Just like everybody who then tries to get trans people out of it.
I
don't you let them compete in those things I'm not watching. The Rassemblement National is the formerly the National Front is the name of the far right party that is growing power in France right now.
Yeah.
The strategy, Macron called snap elections, which backfired and weakened his centrist coalition, and much of the legislative power was given to the right. Yeah. So I don't know why. Yeah, we'll talk about France later. All right. We'll talk to you later, Hoot.
Bye.
Yeah, appreciate you taking me on.
See ya. Okay. That was a hoot. I'm so funny. We're going to try and do this one quickly, but we're going to warn you in advance that we're going to have to hard stop the show in 4 minutes so that people can go join Chewed Gum. Brad in Michigan. Brad, first of all, politically, do you align with MAGA or no?
No.
Okay. So what is the thing you were calling in on? I assume not the topic today?
No, sorry. I saw that it was about to end, and I just wanted to ask you guys' opinion because you guys have good talking points, and I like hearing what you got to say. So I read something about the 1776 report. You guys remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I saw basically the thesis of it is that modern conservatism, specifically with the MAGA movement, is based on the suppression of like American cruelty, like from explaining to newer generations, and the perpetuation of cruelty on the quote-unquote outgroups that currently are against them. And I was wondering if you believe that is going to continue, if they're going to continue to die on this hill that they're better and that we didn't really do that much wrong. And you saw today with Trump's, blabbering comments about how we shouldn't talk about how like slavery was that bad, and you know what I mean? Do you think that they're going to continue to do this? And I guess the question wasn't phrased the greatest, but do you think that they're going to have to come up with a different plan of attack in 2028 or even for the midterms?
I don't anticipate they're ever going to even say the phrase, we didn't do that much wrong. I think they'll just keep redefining what the word wrong means and what is wrong.
That's fair.
I think at some point we get a MAGA base that's actually saying, but like, isn't pedophilia sometimes okay? I think we are more likely to head toward that than we are to work toward, I don't even know. But yeah, I mean, you've already had like Azalea Banks in her tweet and weird shit right-wing people. Like I want to say Matt Walsh was one of the ones who never actually endorsed it directly, but was like 15-year-olds are fertile or whatever. That's the age that if you can have a baby, people should be able to get married and have babies. And then obviously it is the states, those right-wing states are the ones where the child marriage laws and things, including one politician who actually supported changing a law. And it seemed to be because it was a family member of his that was going to get affected by a law, a don't fuck kids law. So no, I expect that they just go like, no, the things you're saying that are wrong weren't wrong, but somehow you guys did it. The pedophilia that Donald Trump did wasn't wrong. The Bill Clinton one, however, I mean, again, Greg Abbott 2 days ago, how dare, this is so wrong what they're doing in California to pick up seats. So I don't, I don't anticipate them
I was
waking
just curious what you had to say about that. I don't know. I cannot fathom the fact that they're going to continue to do this.
It's because your brain works.
The MAGA fad.
You're talking about a group of
was going to kind of die out. Like I was seriously optimistic. I remember talking to my friends back in 2022, being like, "This is not a sustainable business model of constantly just being like, well, they did it too. So actually, you guys should just forget about it, and we should move on. And there's bigger problems."
The bad people are the smart ones.
Still happening.
Go on.
They're,
Go ahead, Lex.
they're going to bankrupt the country. And like, yeah, of course it doesn't make sense as a business decision. And you're exactly right. It doesn't. It's much like how Joanne Fabric just got bought up and then like dissolved because like for some of these corporations, it's worth more money to them to sell off a corporation for parts or to take this company and like break it up than it is for them to continue functionally trying to do a business model. That's what they are doing with America. They are bankrupting us. They're going to take all of the gold out of the coffers and then they're going to shut the building down. Like that's their plan. So of course it feels crazy to a sane person. It's because it is an insane way of operating a government or a business really, but like focusing on the well-being of human beings and the government.
Yeah, the people at the top are aware that what they're doing is gross and awful and terrible and anti-human. And the people who are supporting them are a largely redacted group of individuals. And the fact that your brain works and you are not redacted is why you go, how is this working? Anybody who's spent time with a con man and knows, or just like became a magician and knows how to do like magician's patter can see like he is so obviously conning you. What is wrong with you all? And the answer is that they're redacted. Brad, we got to let you go because it is 6:00.
Thank you so much for calling.
Sir. Well, you guys have a good day.
Thanks, Red. All right, everybody, stick around. You actually don't, I think, have to do anything because we have the redirect set up. We are going to send you now to Chewed Gum. Go watch Erica, Gutsick Gibbon, and Taylor the Skeptical Heretic take calls over on Chewed Gum. Thank you for hanging out here with us, and we will see you the Thursday. Forrest and I are going to be going right after Takis. Transatlantic Call-In Show will redirect to us when they're done. So that's Thursday. You don't want to miss that. Bye, everybody.
Bye.